Hey everyone, welcome back to another daily creative challenge. My name is Jesus Ramirez. How are you doing today? This is daily creative challenge number 8, I believe. Make sure that you go to behance.net/challenge/Photoshop and you can come into this wonderful page and you can scroll down so that you can see all the challenges that we worked on. You can click on the watch video in case you missed any one of these challenges. And yes, today is challenge number 8, Thursday, September 12th, where we're going to be working with 3D. We're going to be using Photoshop's 3D features. So make sure that you come into this page and click on Get Started so that you can open up this Dropbox link and download this background photo. You don't have to use this background photo if you want to. I just provided one just in case you don't have one of your own, but feel free to use a photo of a street, of your living room, of whatever you like. So the photo is not important. We just needed a background image, but you have this one available if you need it. So I just wanted to throw that out there really quickly so you can download it while I'm checking the chat out, while I'm saying hello to people. So make sure you go into behance.net/challenge/Photoshop and download the Get Started file. Also, if you haven't already, make sure that you click on Chat with the Community so that you can chat with us. This will open up a link to the Discord app page. And actually, I've been talking this whole time and I forgot to click on the button that shows my background. So what I was talking about earlier was you need to go into behance.net/challenge/Photoshop and scroll down and look at these boxes. Look at the one for Thursday, September 12th, and click on Get Started to get this background image, and that's what you should download. Also, make sure that you click on Chat with the Community, and that will open up this Discord app page where you can click on Current Challenge and then see the current challenges. For example, people have been submitting the challenge we worked on yesterday, which was the VHS or VCR effect. So a lot of good work. As you can see, there's a lot of comments, a lot of interaction. This one was from the Instagram Seamless Post Challenge a couple days ago, so check that out as well. I'm in this community and the other Adobe mentors, Claudia from Print My Soul, who will actually be doing the daily creative challenges starting on Monday, so she'll be here Monday. Check her out. We also have Sam and Tim, and there's tabs for you to see the past challenges, ask questions, tips and tricks, a whole bunch of cool stuff. So check it out. Once again, that is on behance.net/challenge/Photoshop. Click with Chat with the Community, or you can go to the link right up above my head. So check that out. Anyway, so one other thing I want to mention is scroll down to the bottom of the page and make sure that you click on subscribe so that you can get notified for future Photoshop challenges. So check that out. I also wanted to look at the chat since I forgot to switch over to my background image when I was talking, so I haven't said hello to you guys. So let me see who is here. We have a whole bunch of people. Sean, Valdir, Eric, Jesse, Bandam, Sam, Wilder, Volet. Oh, okay, so Wilder. Wilder should be doing if this is the right Wilder, let me know if this is the, the Wilder I'm thinking about. But Wilder runs the Adobe Lives in Latin America for Adobe Latin America. So if you speak Spanish, there's Adobe Live sessions every Wednesday, I believe. And I'm going to be doing one Wednesday. So if you speak Spanish and you want to see an Adobe Live in Spanish, I'll be doing the Latin America Adobe Live next week on Wednesday. So check it out if you speak Spanish. And if you want to learn Spanish and check it out, then go right ahead. But I'll be there with Wilder next week on Wednesday. If you're there, Wilder, feel free to throw out the link. I don't have the link with me, so I could share it with people. But if you follow me on social media, I'll be tweeting it out and doing all that good stuff. But if you're there, Wilder, post the link so that people could watch our stream on Wednesday. So hi, Louis. Hi, Carla, Sam, Valentine, Lauren. Thank you so much for joining me. I see Claudia here from Print My Soul. Again, she'll be here on Monday doing the creative challenge. And yeah, thanks guys. Thanks so much for joining me. So what we're going to do today is work on Photoshop 3D if you don't have Photoshop CC, you probably won't be able to follow along. The oldest version of Photoshop that you could use while following this stream is Photoshop CS6 Extended. If you don't have that, then unfortunately you will not be able to follow along, but don't worry, you can click on this Get Adobe Photoshop link to download Photoshop. There's a 7-day free trial that you can download and try for today's challenge if you like. So let's get started. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna open up Photoshop, and this is what the final image will look like. So we're gonna create a 3D object, and we're going to match the reflection of the background onto that 3D object, and we're gonna try to make it as real as possible. And you can use text or you can use a logo, anything that you want. So this is what we're gonna try to end up with. So what I'll do now is I'll just delete everything on this image, and this is basically what you should have on that Dropbox file. Again, you don't have to use this image, you can use any image that you like, but yeah, this is what it'll look like. So the first step is just to bring in the text or object or shape that you're going to use as a 3D model. In Photoshop, you can make 3D models, but Photoshop is not a 3D modeling program. So the way that you make 3D models in Photoshop is by extruding things. So you have a shape, and then you take that shape and you extrude it. Think about pushing dough through a cookie cutter. So when you push dough to like a cookie cutter that's in the shape of a star, then you get a star that has some thickness. So that's basically what Photoshop is doing. We're just extruding something. And again, you can use a logo for that. You can use text. You can use anything you want. But keep in mind that it's just going to extrude it. So in this case, we're just going to use text. So I'm going to click on the horizontal type tool, and I'm going to make sure that I have the font selected. I'm going to use Arial, and I'm going to select black. Arial black because I assume that everyone watching should have that font installed. You don't have to go and install anything else, so we're just going to keep it very simple. Arial black, but you can use any font that you like. And I'm just going to just click and type 3D. You can type whatever word that you like. I'm just going to keep it simple with 2 characters, 3D. Then I'm going to convert this into a 3D layer. By the way, I just pressed Control Enter, Command Enter on the Mac, or Command Return on the Mac to commit the changes. And with this 3D layer selected, I'm just going to transform it, Control T, Command T on the Mac, and just make it a little bit larger, maybe about that big. The size is not important. You can resize it later when we convert it into a 3D object. I just wanted the text to be easy for you to see. So with this layer selected, I'm gonna go into 3D, and select New 3D Extrusion from Selected Layer. And that's going to convert this into a 3D layer. By the way, I was already in the 3D workspace. If you were not in it, Photoshop will ask you if you want to switch over to it. You don't have to. I like using the 3D workspace when I'm working with 3D. It just organizes the panels better for me. So if you don't want to lose the way that your panels are set up, make sure that you save them. So right under the same drop down, you can just create a new workspace, and it saves your workspace. And then you can come back to it later if you need to. But for now, I'm going to work on the 3D workspace. So the panels should look the way they look on my screen if you accept that change of changing the workspace. But anyway, so in the 3D workspace, I like to have I'm right-handed, so I have my left hand on the keyboard on 2 very important keys. The V key that switches over to the Move tool, which is what I have now, and the M key for the Marquee tool. So if I press M, notice that all the 3D on-screen displays go away. And if I press the V key for the Move tool, they come back. So if you don't see the 3D overlays, that's because you have another tool selected. Notice that if I select all these tools, you don't see any 3D overlays, right? Only if you select the Move tool. So select the Move tool to see the 3D overlays. And the reason that I decided to use the M key for the marquee tool instead of any other tool is it allows me to make a selection, and later on we're going to be working with rendering, and you'll see why that's important. But that's the reason. So I can render something, and I'll even do it now. I'm just going to click on the render button, and you'll see that Photoshop behind the scenes starts doing all the math that will apply the shadows and reflections and whatever else I have in my scene. When you're rendering something, you can escape out of it by pressing the escape key on the keyboard, and it just stops the render. And if I want to bring back the 3D overlays, I can hit the V key on the keyboard for the move tool. So that's where I have my left hand, V and M. See? Just quickly can switch between one or the other, because sometimes I may make a change and then I want to see what it looks like without all that stuff in the screen, you know, all these lines and controls, and I just want to see the actual image. I just press the M key, it goes away, V key brings it back. So I'm currently in the 3D workspace, and you can see that I can control the object or the 3D scene. And actually, I just realized that I didn't put my phone on silent, and it's talking to me. So let me just turn that off. So what you want to do is first get an understanding of two very important concepts. We have the 3D object and we have the 3D scene. So let's talk about the 3D scene first. So on the bottom left-hand corner, you should see these three tools: the orbit tool, the pan tool, and the dolly tool. The orbit tool allows you to rotate the camera. See how I'm rotating the camera? One important thing to note is that the 3D object is not moving, the camera is moving. One way of thinking about it is that you have an object on a table or on the street or whatever, and you're walking around it. So you can see the 3D object from different angles, but the object is not moving, you're moving. So right now we're moving the positioning where we're looking at the 3D object. The background image is independent. We're just talking about the 3D object. So I can orbit around the object. The object is not moving, and that becomes clear because the grid lines don't necessarily move. They're fixed within the 3D object. And those grid lines are called the ground plane. That's just the ground of this 3D image. Then we have the pan tool. You can think of the pan tool sort of like the hand tool. You can just grab something and just move it, you know, up and down, left and right. And then you have the dolly tool. You can think of the dolly tool as the zoom tool, where you can zoom out, zoom in, and rotate the camera. Now, where do you want to put your camera? Well, that depends on your photo. When you're working with 3D or any compositing, really, the most important thing is the horizon line. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, we can make a whole conversation about that, but I'm just going to keep it very, very simple. Actually, I have videos on my YouTube channel, photoshoptrainingchannel.com, where I talk about how perspective comes into play with compositing, and that's what we're doing, compositing. But basically, you have to figure out where the horizon line of your image is and the horizon line of anything else that you bring in to keep everything in perspective so that it looks more realistic. With 3D, it's actually quite simple because you have a lot of control of where to place your objects. And if you notice on this grid that I have here, you'll notice this gray line going right across here. See that gray line right there? That gray line is the horizon line. That's where the ground plane meets the sky. And I can place it anywhere that I want, right? So where do I want to place it? Well, just because I have experience, I know that my horizon line from the background image is right about there. I'm probably off by a little bit, but it doesn't matter. Let me explain what I mean by that. So if I disable my 3D layer and I look at the background image, notice all the parallel converging lines. See that? This is a 1-point perspective image. See that? See all these parallel converging lines? If I select the line tool and then just draw lines, these parallel lines, you see that? See how they all meet back here? See that? Just if I follow all these parallel converging lines, they all meet somewhere around here, right? Right about there. So that's where they meet. And that's where the horizon line is. And I'll make this red so that you can see it. Or maybe green, because I think it'd be more visible in this image. So there it is, right? More or less, that's where the horizon line is. There's a point on that horizon line where all those converging lines meet, right? So this is where the horizon line is. So all I need to do is just match my 3D model onto that horizon line. Right now, I'm not seeing the 3D elements because I have the line tool selected. But if I press V on the keyboard for the move tool, they come back. And notice that I did a fairly decent job of matching the horizon line is just, you know, just a little lower. I can decide to leave it there, or I can decide to move it up. One way where you can that you can move it up is by going into this icon here in the properties panel. Those are the coordinates, and then you can just use the X coordinate to move it up or down. That's totally up to you. I'm actually rotating it. Sorry about that. This is what I was talking about earlier. You need to be careful not to be on the 3D object itself. You need to be on the environment. So I've already talked about what the environment is, but I haven't talked about the 3D object. So make sure that you select environment, and actually, I'm sorry, current view, and then move it up. See how I can now move the camera up? So I'm just gonna match it to that line. You don't have to be perfect. As long as you get it close enough, you'll be fine. But I just wanted to show you another way in which you can move the camera. Now, the thing that I haven't talked about is the 3D object. So the 3D object, when you select it, now you can move the actual 3D object. So the camera is not changing. Now we're actually moving this 3D object. See that? So that's the difference. When you select the 3D object and you click on these overlays, then you can move the 3D object, or if you use these icons, you're moving the camera or like your viewpoint. For those of you that don't know 3D, each of these handles has controls has 3 handles. There is a arrow that moves the object in that axis. There is this little arc thing that rotates the object in that axis, and then there's a cube that scales the object in that axis. One very important thing to note is that if you start manipulating a 3D object and use this center cube, you see this center cube, this one here, and actually this center cube here, this yellow one, if you scale, you can scale it uniformly, meaning you scale like kind of like holding shift, you know, like when you transform a layer, you hold shift. In this case, if you just click on that scale uniformly cube, excuse me, you scale the 3D object uniformly. And here's the trick. If you are on a 3D layer and you hold shift and you click on that cube, you can actually increase or decrease the size of the handle. See how I'm making the handles bigger? See? The handles are bigger now. So I'm holding shift and clicking on that cube, and it increases and decreases the size of the actual control handles. But what I really wanted to show you is if you start distorting your 3D object and it's not on the ground, like in this case, it's floating, all you need to do is go into the coordinates icon here in the properties panel, and then click on move to ground, and it brings it back to the ground. So I know that I've said a lot and we really haven't done much, but I just wanted you guys to have a recording of how all this works, because when you start doing this yourself and you're not familiar with 3D, you might get stuck. So at least you have a reference to go back and check out. Let me quickly look at the chat and see if there's any comments or questions regarding 3D. Cool. Which direction is each axis? The red one is the x-axis, the blue one is the z-axis, and the green one is the y-axis. So that was a question there that I saw by Lois on the chat. Okay, so what we're going to do now is actually make the whole 3D effect. It's going to be a whole lot easier now that we know the concepts. The first step is to actually distort the 3D model to give it a shape. And what I'm going to do is just select the 3D layer. Mine says 3D because I typed the words 3D, but if I wanted to type the word cat, it would read cat or whatever it is. But anyway, so I have my 3D layer selected. Then I'm going to click on this icon here, on this very first one that controls the mesh. Then I'm going to click on the down pointing arrow for the shape presets, and I'm just going to give it a shape preset. Select the one that you like. The one that I'm going to go for is this one here. This one's titled Inflate. And this one has really nice curves that are going to be great for creating reflections. So with that selected, I'm going to go into my environment tab here. And notice right now that, actually I forgot one step. Let me go back into my 3D model. And these are the different parts of the 3D model. See that? See all these different parts? See when I select a different part lights up. So for example, if I wanted to make the bevel red, I can select the front bevel material. Extrusion material, and change the diffuse. Diffuse is the color. So I'll change the color to red, and now that extrusion is red, but I don't want it red. You can actually change the color of multiple materials at the same time. If you select the top material, hold shift and select the bottom material, now I can change the color of all of them at the same time. So I'll just make mine black and I'll increase the reflection to like 100%. And notice that Photoshop is reflecting something on the 3D object, but it's not the background. And the reason being is that the environment, we have an IBL, an image-based light, and you can see in this little preview what that image is. If I click on this icon and click on edit texture, you will see that that's what Photoshop is using as a default environment. So it's going to reflect that. That's why you had that effect on the 3D object. So what you want to do is just bring in the background image of your composite, this one here. Just click and drag it over onto that tab and just release it in there. And then you can go into image, reveal all. So Photoshop increases the canvas size so that it reveals the entire image. And then you can close it. And when you close it, Photoshop will now use the background image as the environment, and you can see it being reflected on the 3D layer. Make sure that you're on the 3D layer. Also make sure that you're on the 3D panel, and under environment, make sure environment is highlighted. Make sure that you have the move tool selected. You'll see the sphere, and you can click and drag on the sphere to control how the image reflects onto your 3D object. Really, really cool stuff, right? You can see the sky, you can see the buildings. It's amazing. So what I'm gonna do now is just work on the 3D object here. And remember what I talked about earlier, the V key and the M key. So I'm gonna tap the M key and click and drag around the 3D object and click on the render icon to render my image. And it's gonna start rendering it out. This is gonna take a while. It depends on the speed of your computer, the complexity of your scene. There's a lot of variables, but it's usually not very fast. You can see on my time remaining notice here on the bottom left, it's going to take about 2.5 minutes. So I'm not going to stay here and render the whole thing for 2.5 minutes, but that will be the final step. I'm going to press the escape key to stop the render. And I want to show you one other thing before we finish, because it's already been like 22 minutes and I got to go soon. But click on infinite light, this icon here, and then select the move tool and you'll see the lighting of the scene. See that? See how I can control the shadows now? So in this scene, if you look at the background layer, look at the shadow of the car and the people. They're not long shadows, they're directly under the cars. So that leads me to believe that it's probably around noontime. So the sun is directly above the scene here. So I'll try to imitate that with the infinite light here. So something like that. Then I can adjust maybe the intensity of that light, maybe make it a little bit brighter, and maybe soften the shadows up a bit. I don't want the shadows to be too sharp. And then I can render this scene once again. And at this point, all you really need to do is fine tune your image. There's not much to it. You have to just keep controlling the dials and adjusting it in different ways. One other trick I want to show you guys before I'm done, and I know I'm running out of time, is if you go into split extrusion under the 3D menu with your 3D object selected, it'll create now the letter D and the letter number 3, and they're both separate, so you can just, adjust them independently from one another. So maybe this one's leaning over on the 3 or something like that. I'll move it to ground to push it up, and I can continue adjusting, this 3D model like so, and then I could render that. Or maybe I can even rotate this one the other way, maybe rotate it that way. And then just render this, and that'll be my final result. Let me know in the comments if you enjoy this technique. I can't wait to see what you guys do with this. It's a really, really fun technique. You can create some really cool effects really quickly. Remember to use maybe your logo, your company logo, your school's logo, whatever it is. You can use text, anything that you like. Let me quickly check out the comments and see if there's anything that you guys are... Oh, my friend Tony Harmer is here. Tony's got some great YouTube videos on Illustrator, InDesign, Photoshop, Design Ninja. Anna, thank you so much. Claudia from Print My Soul, Valentine. I'm just trying to see if there's any questions. Awesome. Michaela says she loves it. Thank you so much. All right, guys. Well, I got to get going. Thank you so much for being with me again for the 8th time. I look forward to seeing you on the Discord app. There's the link. Remember to post your results. I'm trying to find the website. Where did it go? There it is. Discord, here it is. Make sure that you upload your current 3D design onto the current challenge page. Check it out. Post your work. Looking forward to seeing you guys. Thank you so much. I'll see you again tomorrow for my last daily creative challenge. But Claudia from Print My Soul will be on Monday. But don't go away just yet. There's another stream coming right up, right after me. So check it out. I believe it's Mercedes. Sorry if it's not Mercedes, but I think Mercedes is right after me. She'll be designing for film festivals. At least that's what she was doing yesterday. I don't know if she's doing the same thing today. I'm sorry because I didn't look to see if she was going to be doing that. But just take a quick bathroom break and come back and check her out. All right, guys. Thanks so much. I'll see you next time.